Hello everybody, it is I, Eternal Flame here, and today I'm here to do a video explaining completely how reverse curse technique works. Mainly because I believe now is the best time to do it more than ever before, and also because I think some people have some misunderstandings about how reverse curse technique works, and it's just made to be an explanation type video. So in this video we're going to go over both how reverse curse technique works, as well as every single function of reverse curse technique we have seen in the series, and every single user of reverse curse technique that we have seen in the series as well. Now up first, the most important thing to understand about reverse curse technique is the energy that fuels it, mainly because reverse curse technique isn't fueled by curse energy like every other curse technique is, it is fueled by positive curse energy. Positive curse energy is the result of multiplying curse energy by curse energy. Basically the same thing that would happen if you multiply a negative number by a negative number. You end up with positive curse energy, which positive curse energy is actually capable of healing the body in comparison to curse energy, which can only reinforce the body. As a result of this, cursed spirits are completely unable to use reverse curse technique, mainly because their bodies are just completely made of curse energy. Furthermore, positive curse energy is extremely poisonous to cursed spirits as a whole, as we find this out directly through Mahoraga and Mahoraga's Sword of Extermination, which is imbued with so much positive curse energy that it would be able to one-shot cursed spirits on the 15-finger Sukuna level. Basically, if there was a cursed spirit that was on par with 15-finger Sukuna, this positive curse energy would be able to one-shot them. We also see this happen in the Culling games, where Yuta pumps a cursed spirit with so much positive curse energy, it ends up completely destroying them. This is also why using reverse curse technique as well as positive energy is so difficult and draining, mainly because every single usage of positive curse energy is going to take twice as much to use in comparison to normal curse energy, because for you to use positive curse energy you have to use curse energy against itself, resulting in you needing to use twice as much of the curse energy, which is now what we're going to get into reverse curse technique itself. Now, the main and most common way that people use reverse curse technique is to heal themselves and to heal themselves from wounds. And the list of people who have done this in battle is genuinely massive, so I'm just going to have the list on screen for you all to see, but there is just a massive amount of people who have used it to heal wounds in specific. However, we do also know through Yuta Okkotsu that using it to heal wounds is actually quite draining. As during the Synthetic Colony arc, when he was fighting against both Ryu and Uro, he was actually draining himself because of how much he did have to heal himself, so continuous usage of RCT on your own body is going to drain you very heavily. Though it also might be a result of Yuta somewhat lacking curse energy control, as specifically called out by Gojo, that Yuta needed to work on his curse energy control. Though we also know through Ryu, healing things like a full-blown arm or healing something like that would actually be considered insanely impressive and be something that would be incredibly difficult to pull off, something that Yuta Okkotsu is capable of. There are also some techniques that work alongside RCT to make healing much easier. For example, if you are a blood manipulation user, instead of having to regenerate blood through using RCT, you can use normal curse energy in order to make more blood for yourself if you have the body of a death painting. This also allows for massively more efficient healing, mainly because you are able to substitute healing the blood with your own curse energy instead, making the drain much less. Furthermore, blood manipulation also assists you in finding which part of your body is injured, as we do know reverse curse technique isn't fully automatic for 99% of the verse other than one person in specific, where if you are not aware of the part of your body that is injured immediately, it can remain still hurting. However, blood manipulation does assist you in that because you can spread the blood all throughout your body in order to find the injured part of your body. That's also why Yuji struggled with using RCT for a little bit, not because he was running low on curse energy, but because he couldn't find the spot on his body that he didn't fully heal when he was battling against Sukuna. Another unique usage of this first stage of curse energy is the usage that Gojo had come up with himself in order to keep the infinity barrier around his body constantly running and constantly active, where he is using RCT 24/7 on his brain to refresh his brain. Where normally keeping the limitless barrier would end up overheating his brain and end up putting too much processing power on his brain because he needs to keep the 6 eyes active the entire time, through using RCT in this method he is able to counter that because he is constantly healing his brain and constantly refreshing his brain as well. This mastery of RCT on the brain also led Gojo to figuring out a very unique way to use RCT, which that way is to use RCT on the part of his brain where his curse technique was stored. While he had a domain clash with Sukuna in the heat of battle, he was able to figure out how to restore his burnt out curse technique, which by extension allowed him to immediately cast the domain again when he was battling against Sukuna. However, this method is extremely dangerous, mainly because of one thing involved with it. It is overworking the user's brain heavily, and the more and more the user does this, the more and more damage it might end up doing to the brain, where it might end up removing their ability to use their domain permanently. This is a separate limit that Sukuna describes to be completely away from healing entirely, which does make me believe that Sukuna actually knew this was possible beforehand, but we don't really know if Sukuna also just immediately figured it out when Gojo figured it out, as well as the drawbacks to what this type of method would be for using RCT in this way. Finally, before we move on to the second and third stage of RCT, we need to talk about something else that is extremely important to understand, which is if you take soul damage directly to your soul. For example, if you were to get hit by Maki's Soul Split Katana, in order for you to heal your soul using RCT, you actually need to have awareness of the soul. Which the characters that we know for certain that would be able to actually heal from this is Yuji and Sukuna. Now, I don't want to turn this into a debate of who can and who isn't aware of the soul. I'm going to save that for the soul explained in JJK when that video does come out, but just know for certain we know that Yuji and Sukuna can heal it. And Hana can heal it as well if Hana ends up figuring out how to use RCT. Same with the Angel, mainly because they follow the same exact logic that Sukuna does. Anyways, now that we got that out of the way, we're going to move on to the second level of RCT, which is healing poisons. Now, this is going to be a lot shorter, mainly because we've only seen 2 actual people heal off poisons, where the 2 times we have seen people heal off poisons is Urame when they ended up getting hit by Choso's Piercing Blood, which Choso's Piercing Blood is poisonous, as well as Hakari, who ended up healing off Kashimo's Chlorine Poison. Now, the main reason why healing off poisons is an entirely different level and difficulty is mainly because instead of using reverse cursing to repair a wound, you are using positive curse energy to purge the poison out from your body. Which is more difficult because instead of just sending positive curse energy to that part of the body to heal that part of the body, you have to send the positive curse energy to the part that is poisoned and then use that positive curse energy to push the poison out from the body. Speaking of Hakari though, this is when I'm going to both get into Hakari's RCT and why that works different, as well as the weakness of RCT as a whole. While curse energy comes from the stomach, in order to perform RCT, one needs to have a fully functioning brain. This is mainly because you need your brain in order to turn that curse energy into positive curse energy to heal your body. So it doesn't matter how good you are at using RCT, if your brain is destroyed, you cannot use RCT anymore. Which of course easier said than done, but still it is something incredibly difficult to pull off, but also gives all RCT users this type of weakness. However, we're going to move on to how Hakari's RCT works, mainly because Hakari's RCT is a completely different type of RCT from everyone we have ever seen. Hakari's RCT is something he can only use in Jackpot, where in Jackpot he has such a massive amount of curse energy flowing throughout his body subconsciously uses RCT, which tells us if you have enough curse energy at all, you are actually able to use RCT even if you are unaware of how to use RCT. Which is absolutely insane, but we don't actually know the exact amount of CE required in order to pull off subconscious RCT usage. We don't know if it's below Jackpot Hakari's level or at Jackpot Hakari's level where you can use RCT subconsciously. But the insane thing about this as well is that Hakari in Jackpot has by far and away the fastest self-healing speed in the entire verse. Or at least faster than Gojo and Sukuna, who Gojo and Sukuna are easily the best RCT users in the verse, and Hakari has better healing speeds than the both of them. However, now we're going to move on to healing other people, which is by far and away the most difficult part of using RCT and the most difficult usage of RCT. It is such a difficult type of RCT to use that we only have 3 confirmed users of this type of RCT, which those 3 users are Ryomen Sukuna himself, Shoko, as well as Yuta Okkotsu. Not even Gojo himself with the 6 Eyes After Awakening is actually capable of healing other people. It is implied that in order to be able to heal other people, it is something that needs to come naturally to you. Now, in my opinion, I do think Kenjaku is also capable of healing other people, but other than that, I don't think anyone else is actually capable of healing other people. However, using RCT on other people has a lot of issues. For example, one issue that we find out through Sukuna is that healing other people is going to be less than 50% efficient in comparison to healing yourself. For example, if it took you 1 minute to heal your arm, healing someone else's arm would take more than 2 minutes in order to heal. Which is also why it was so significantly important that everybody tried their best to learn how to use RCT before heading into the Sukuna battle, mainly because of the fact that Shoko's healing would take much more time in comparison to if they just learned how to heal themselves. It was also why in JJK0 that it was so significant that Geto just allowed Yuta to actually heal them, because if Geto wanted to, he could have very much interrupted the healing process that Yuta was doing in order to heal Maki and Inumaki. However, even then, it is not that simple, as there are actual other issues that come with trying to heal other people. For example, it is much easier to heal yourself, mainly because you are much more familiar with your own body. In comparison to someone else's body, you can only really figure out how to heal them based on what the wounds look like and what you are directly told, in comparison to your own body where you can just directly feel them out. As Shoko herself directly says, one reason is the fundamental difference in use. However, there are also other issues on top of that that make using RCT even more difficult, which is the fact that the body can reject it on both ends. Not all curse energy is completely compatible. For example, if Shoko is healing someone, there is a chance Shoko's curse energy itself might say no, but there is also a chance the person she is trying to heal's curse energy also might end up saying no. So not just is healing somebody significantly more difficult and much less efficient, there's just straight up the chance that either end could just end up saying no to the treatment. And while we have gone past healing, now we're going to move on to the actual final application of reverse curse technique, which is reversing techniques themselves. Now we've only actually ever seen 2 techniques being reversed, which those techniques that we have seen being reversed belong to both Gojo as well as Kenjaku, where Gojo's technique that was reversed, which was red. Red is the inversion of blue, where instead it creates this small little orb that explodes and pushes things away from them. It's pretty simple in how it functions. And then finally there is gravity manipulation, which gravity manipulation is the reversal of anti-gravity, which is originally Kaori Itadori's technique but now belongs to Kenjaku. However, this technique allows the user to manipulate gravity and heavily increase the gravity, slamming someone onto the ground as a result of that. Now, we do not know if Kaori Itadori actually had access to this application or if Kenjaku just created it when they got access to their body, mainly because we don't know that much about Kaori Itadori, but we do know what it is the source of. Now, it could also be potentially possible that not every curse technique has a reversal. I'm actually of the opinion that every curse technique does have a reversal, you just need to think hard enough about it, but at the same time, we don't really know that for sure. However, just at this end, I'm going to throw in a slight bit of speculation and theory working, mainly because this is the only real chance I have to talk about it, which is Sukuna using Cleave and Dismantle. In my opinion, I actually believe Dismantle is the reversal of Cleave. Now, the main reason why I believe that is because when you read their descriptions, you can see that they are just basically straight up opposites, where Cleave is just much more effective on people themselves, and it adjusts the amount of curse energy inside of people in order to increase their ability. Now, yes, Cleave is still useful using it on buildings and mainly being touch-based, but at the same time, we also know that Cleave is just much more effective on people in comparison to buildings. Meanwhile, Dismantle is much more made for buildings and is actually able to target buildings, that being what it's directly made for. And unlike Cleave, Dismantle is actually made to be a ranged attack. Which all I'm saying is, Sukuna has yet to use Dismantle since Yuji had destroyed his reverse curse technique output entirely, other than inside of his domain, which is pretty clear his domain has a separate output mainly thanks to all of the binding vows that he had placed inside of the domain. However, that's just speculation on my part, we have nothing that actually confirms or denies this yet. However, that's everything we know about reverse curse technique explained in this video. I'm gonna see y'all later, hope y'all have a good day, peace.